Hold that there. Where's Catherine? Where's Catherine? Right. If we can start the council town meeting. No, sorry, the town council meeting. Dyslexic, see. Can I just remind anybody that's staying that this will be recorded and it is now live webcast for the town council. Right, so number 1, to receive and accept apologies for absence.
The Chairman, Jane Fountain, Charlotte Greeno, Tina Cruz and Tina Cadell.
Thank you. To note declaration for members' personal, prejudicial and disclosable pecuniary interests in respect of items on the agenda. You're going to wait, aren't you? Okay. Item 3, minutes. To confirm that the minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of February 2022 are a true and accurate record. Is everybody happy with them? Just sign. Yeah. Yes, Pat. Okay. To receive an update on items from the previous meeting, if not agenda items for this meeting. Anything to update, Jane?
I don't think there's anything else to update other than already in your pack. We're waiting for the guttering to be done outside. I don't think the weather's been particularly good for anyone to do any work out there recently. But no, everything is on the agenda, I think.
Thank you. Item 4, to receive reports. Item 4.1, did Jane send a report in at all? And 4.2, Vice Chairman's report. I attended the finance meeting, and that's all that's happened since the last fortnight. District Councillor's report. Claire, have you got a... Yeah. No, that's fine. It's, good. No doubt after tonight you'll have a lot more things to do. County Councillor's report. Again, you sent that one through, haven't you? Has anyone got any questions on any of these reports at all? No? 0.46, Clerk's report.
Again, it's in your packs. I have included a bit of a report regarding the public toilets and whether we ought to be looking at refurbishment anytime soon. Other than that, I think, again, everything else I've got will come up under agenda items.
Okay, thank you. Item 5, to note and amend the works in progress list. Catherine.
It's just one small amendment. It's number 48, Rechurch Walk. We have actually held a meeting on the 6th of January, and there was a report made to council from that meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Item 6, public participation. Does any of the members of public want? If you come down, we've got a microphone and then people will be able to hear you.
Yes, do with the parking over Nelson Court. I came up last time, reported about it. There was grass down that side, but there's no grass now, it's all mud. Because the cars are parked on this side, and all the deliveries that have been done, they can't get down the road, so they have to go up on the grass.
I think before when you came, didn't we mention that it wasn't a council item that we could deal with, but the police would go through and go through a snap meeting? Have you contacted the police regarding the parking up there?
Yeah, I've contacted the police, and they said that where they're parking half on the road and half on the curb, they are breaking the law, and where they're parking on the junction, they are breaking the law. But they won't come out unless they're obstructing something. So they're admitting they're breaking the law, but they won't do nothing about it. What makes it worse, there's a perfectly good car park down the road. They all know that, and there's someone off of the council that actually parks over there, realising the trouble that's going on, and she's totally ignoring it.
Sorry, Pat, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you the last time you were here that the next snap meeting is on Wednesday, the 6th of April at 7 o'clock here. So if you wanted to speak to the police about it, that would be the best time.
Thank you, Pat. Catherine?
Would it be helpful perhaps if we wrote, prior to the SNAP meeting, if we wrote and said that we had concerns raised about this issue and we wanted it to be considered by the SNAP meeting? Would that be helpful?
Would it help, sorry?
Would it be helpful if we actually wrote it before the SNAP meeting, if we actually sent a letter from the council saying that this issue had been raised by a member of the public and we have concerns about it, and would they consider that?
Yeah, but this isn't going on just recently, it's gone on for years apparently. They put petitions in, everything. What's happened to the petitions? It's been thrown away, I suppose. But it's an ongoing issue.
We will
I parked on the road outside mine because I had a contractor come in, I was having some work done. And I even had a girl stick a note on there saying I was being unreasonable for parking on the road.
Yeah. If I can just ask. Sorry. Yeah, so you've got your hand up. Did you hear that? That there is grass seeding going to be happening. Obviously, at the moment, it's not. But certainly, I think the SNAP meeting would be your way. And also, if we write to the police as well on your behalf, well, on residents of Watton's behalf. Thank you.
I'll say you've only got to look at the road. If you look at the grass, you can see the lorry tracks down there. They can't sweep the road. There's no grass left to cut. Everyone's getting covered in mud. It's not fair at all.
Yeah, we will write to the police on residents' behalf.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If action isn't taken at the SNAP meeting, then it is illegal parking, and it's not being acted on, then I feel that perhaps we should write to the police commissioner and tell him what the situation is, you know, because if a law is set, it should be, you know, acted upon.
Keith?
Yeah, thank you. As you say, it's not just an issue around Nelson Court, it's all over the town. But to hear that regrassing is going to be done, what a waste of money.
Yeah.
I mean, that mud will be churned up before the grass is even in the ground.
Yeah.
And it's showing it. So regrassing it is going to do nothing at all. The problem is, it was a wonderful idea years ago to make the roads look nice and neat and tidy. We'll have all this grass. The best thing to do with all these grassed areas is to tarmac them and get rid of the grass. It's the grass that is causing a lot of the problem. Well, not the grass causing the problem, but the fact that it's there, it just gets churned up and always will be by some people.
Thank you, Keith. Other Keith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can totally sympathise with the gentleman. Forgive me, sir, I forgot your name.
Sorry,
I forgot your name.
Bob Bennett.
Mr. Bennett. You have my total sympathy, and I have to talk away from you so that I can speak to the mic. As a council, as we've told you before, as a town council, we are incredibly toothless as to what action we can take. However, what frustrates me is those that have the power to do anything about it haven't or won't. And I feel that we as a council should look to see how we can support Mr. Bennett and the other residents in a way that Councillor Stallard has already alluded. And also, apart from the police taking action, Breckland District Council pay the traffic wardens who are quite happy to go up and down the high street slapping tickets on vehicles left, right and centre. Perhaps we could ask our district councillors to put pressure on the traffic wardens to come out and not just walk up and down the high street on market day, but to perhaps just go out the back to Nelson Court and to other resident areas where these sort of problems are rife. Could I ask, Madam Chair, that perhaps we ask our district councillors tonight to take this back to the parking services? Thank you.
Yeah. Can I see you're nodding. Can I ask both you and Claire, would you be able to take that back? Thank you, Keith. Thank you.
Yep. I think it should be like residents parking only. Because that's the only answer down that road. If you take the grass out, put tarmac where it is, the lorries have still got car parks tarmac to get into your stop. And sooner or later, some child or someone's going to get hit. Whose responsibility is that?
Yeah.
Because the council's been called several times about this. Who are you going to blame, the lorry driver?
Ultimately, yes.
Or stop the no more deliveries in Nelson Court?
Well, that won't happen, I'm afraid, Mr. Bennett. But thank you for your things. And we will write, noting all these different things of the fact of different areas within Watton, not just Nelson Court, that there are parking problems. But if it's going to go back to Breckland through our Breckland councillors, then hopefully they will start to get perhaps a parking warden coming up. All right, thank you. So anything else for public participation? No? We move on to number 7, finance. 7.1, to approve payments for February 2022. They did arrive, so hopefully everyone's seen them. Yes, Beryl.
Before we pay for the mayor's chain, can we make sure that that's absolutely spot on what we want? You know, that
Yeah,
it
has
is
it
okay.
come back?
Yeah, the mayor's chain is back, and I think Jane is quite happy with it. The payments that we're authorising are actually for some re-engraving that weren't part of the original refurb. So, you know, we do need to pay for that, I think, really regardless, because that was extra work.
Yeah, but if it didn't fit the velvet piece underneath, you know.
Yeah,
my
it's fine.
concern.
It does seem
It is
much,
fine.
much better.
And also, I'm absolutely staggered at the cost of going to the Wayland show this year.
Sorry, I can't, sorry,
Absolutely staggered with that.
I couldn't hear what you said there, Beryl, sorry.
I'm absolutely staggered at the cost of going to the Wayland show this year and having a stand there.
Yeah, certainly.
Just to add to the payments, and I can't comment on the Wayland show, but there are one or two payments that weren't necessarily on your list as they came in late. One is for an obstacle course for the Platinum Jubilee, and that's £280. £174 to put the new town operative on a PAT testing course, and the PHS group that deal with the duty of care and sanitary disposal here and the toilets, their bills have come in, and that totals, I'm not going to do this very easily in my head, but there's two at 5,490, one at 504.82, and one at 395.32. So they do need to be authorised as well, and they might not necessarily be on the list you had come round.
Can I ask, is everyone happy to? Oh,
Can we query the Wayland show cost?
yeah.
I know it's the price of a stand, but I do feel that it's a little bit rich.
Can we do that? When has the payment got to be in by?
I don't think there's any rush to pay, but I will double check that. I think it depends on the size of the stall as well, to be perfectly honest. And I think if we put our larger gazebo up, it probably falls in the larger pitch size, unfortunately.
Peter?
The item says stall stroke tickets. Does that include tickets as well?
I think the fee includes probably 2 people who are going to be attending the stall. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Claire, are
There's
you
been
able
2 more
to,
paid for.
are you able to assist at all on the, what it includes?
I do think the larger stand had to be booked because of the size of our gazebo. So whether that can be double checked or whether we take a smaller gazebo, that would be up to you guys.
Yeah.
Pat?
The last time we went, we had the stall and 4 people, definitely. I don't know what we paid for it, but it was the new at that time, blue gazebo. Can we check what we did pay for it last time? It would have been about 2018.
But on the invoice, we paid for 4 tickets.
Yeah.
We paid for 2 were included in the stall pitch, and we paid for 2 extras.
Yeah,
So we
that's what we
paid for
did.
4 tickets.
That's what we had
Or
last time.
going to, is what's down.
Yeah. Okay. Can we defer that payment then, Jane, until we've looked into it further? Is everyone happy with deferring it until we've seen? Yeah. Keith?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I can just come in. I've got an issue with this if we are being treated differently to all the other stall holders, but ultimately the show, like everything, it's had difficulties and the show has to go on in effect. I just feel that if we are being treated no differently to anyone else, where does the issue lie? That's probably not a popular comment, but I'm making it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So apart from the Wayland show, is everyone happy on the rest of the payments? Those in favour? Okay, Jane. 7.2, to receive the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting held on the 10th of February 2022. Have you all? Yeah. All those in favour? That was carried. 7.3. Oh, sorry, Catherine.
Can I ask that we take each of the recommendations separately because some are more complicated than others?
Okay, thank you. So to agree recommendations from the meeting held on the 10th of February 2022, recommendations to full council. Point 1, to set a budget of £3,000 to cover costs for the planned Platinum Jubilee picnic to be taken from within the events cost centre in the 22-23 budget or from the Community Improvement Fund if necessary. Catherine.
The Finance Committee are asking for approval for this because in the budget we've set, when you take out the festive market and the fireworks, what's left for other events, we didn't feel would be enough to cover something that's going to be special and on the scale that the Platinum picnic would be. So we're asking that we set a budget of £3,000, some of it which may come from the events budget, but can also be covered from within the Community Improvement Fund if that's necessary. So we just need permission to do that.
Has anyone got any questions on that? All those in favour? Point 2, that the 2023 allotment fees should not be increased. Catherine.
The reason we're suggesting they shouldn't be increased is we have to set them a year in advance. So these are the allotment fees that would cover next year. If you remember, we put the water supply in, but we've been having some problems in getting that up and running. And we were going to base an increase on the usage of the new water supply. So until we can actually do some monitoring of that, we felt it was better to leave the allotment fees as they are and then come back to this the next time we're required to look at the fees, which would be for the year after.
Yeah. All those in, anyone questions on that? All those in favour? Okay. Point 3, to initiate a project led by a nominated councillor to replace street furniture in the High Street, funding to be met from reserves. Catherine.
I alluded to this while Sam was here, Sam Chapman, because after we had the walk round on in the town centre, it became clear once you started studying it how bad our street furniture is now. It's not just a question of a lick of paint and just replace this one and that one. It needs a whole scale replacement scheme. And what the Finance Committee was recommending is that we actually look to do this as a project. We take the money out of general reserve. If necessary, if we can get funding from district, that would be very welcome. But as a principle, we thought that we ought to say we're going to do this, fund it ourselves or from other sources, but we will do it ourselves, set it up as a project with a lead councillor. Now, Peter's offered to be the lead councillor on this if we go ahead. So really what we're asking for is to agree the recommendation that we go forward on this as a project. Obviously, the project will come back for approval in the end. And if possible, if you would wish it, that Pete leads on this, unless somebody else wants to do it.
Pat. You agree? Is this hands up that we're all agreeing that Pete can do it? Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad to see this being done because it is actually a long while since this council spent any money on street furniture, because what we've got there now was actually came from European funding. So it's many years since we as a council have put it in, so I'm glad to see it being done by us.
Okay, Peter.
I offered to do it partly because I spent, before COVID happened, I went round with Will, who was the contractor at the time, to look at the street furniture. And one of the things we wanted to do was to enhance the entrance to the town at the bull end, at the traffic light end, because we felt when you came in there, it's a bit bare and doesn't look particularly attractive. We thought if we could do something with the planters, we need to get new planters. And Will and I started putting a list up where we could move current planters and put them elsewhere. So that's the reason why I said that I'm happy to do it. I was delighted to hear tonight that Moneybags over here and Mrs. Moneybags over there has got all the money for it.
Yeah.
Well, great, I'll draw up a project and hand it over to you then, because we're quids in now then. Great stuff.
Catherine?
I should have said the reason we said money from reserves is because this is likely to be a much larger sum than we would be able to meet out of our maintenance budget. So we will have to go into reserves and any other funding to meet the cost.
Keith?
Might be a little bit of an aside, but if our planters need replacing, does the one which we presented to Vaitzer need replacing? Yeah, because we did actually present them with one of those planters for, it was when I was mayor, I think. Yeah, the 20th anniversary, I think. So it'll be 15 years ago we gave them that planter. So it might be worth getting in touch, and that could be our gift
still
to
there.
Vaitzer. So when we're looking at buying new ones, can we look at maybe doing that one as well?
So, point 3, can I ask, is everyone happy to have Peter as a lead councillor? And we're happy to look at this as a project. All those in favour? Yeah, thank you. Point 4, to seek quotes to link the Christmas lights display to the street lighting columns on both the south and north side of the High Street, incorporating Middle Street from the Bull at the east end to the health centre at the west end. A real or artificial Christmas tree to be included. I'm going to pass this over to Catherine. And, Peter, yep.
Well, I was one of the people that was moaning on about the light. Well, not moaning about the lights, but that we ought to do it in a different way and be more professional about it. And we all agreed, and we said, yeah, and what you've got there in front of you was what was proposed. Stupidly, then, I went and walked up down High Street and realised, God, you'd only have about 5 lights because there are not many lamp posts there. Stupidly, I hadn't even realised there is a big gap from Edwards upwards where there are no street lights on that side at all. Then looking at the lights and having heard other people talk about things, I'm well aware that probably highways are going to say, no, they're not suitable for hanging lights on or for getting power from them. So I think that was a bit of a waste of time, and I apologise to everyone for sort of leading everyone down that path. And therefore you've got that report, which is partly built on that. But I know Catherine sent some stuff out to everyone today, which I'm sure you've all read avidly, about the options. So I'll shut up at that point, Gina.
Catherine?
Yeah, when the Finance Committee discussed this, it's because at the next meeting, we've already agreed, and it's in the minutes, previous minutes, that March the 8th, we will agree the tendering process for a new 3-year contract for the Christmas lights. So what we need to be in a position to do at the March meeting is to be able to put a spec together so that we can go out for the tendering. So one of the options, as Pete said, we looked at was using the street lighting. But having done that, we realised that there are as many drawbacks to that as anything else. So I put together the grid, which goes through the different options. And if we wanted to go forward on this tonight, it could be seen as an amendment to the recommendation. So rather than agreeing that recommendation, we might be agreeing something else. I don't know whether it's better to go through this now when people haven't had the opportunity to read it, or I'm reluctant to keep pushing this back, Sue, because we're going to run out of time if we're not careful.
If we're looking at tendering on the 8th of March, that is the next meeting, isn't it?
The only other thing we could do is have a special meeting just to discuss this as a single issue. You know, if we do it next Tuesday or the Tuesday after, just for 1 hour to agree which of the options we'd like to go forward on, so that at the March the 8th meeting, we can agree the tendering process.
Can I ask, has everyone or anyone looked at the charts that Catherine has sent out? You have.
I
haven't.
at that time today.
So the proposal then is that perhaps that we can have an additional meeting for an hour, and that would have to be next Tuesday, wouldn't it? Yeah. Just to discuss Christmas lights.
I mean, I can go through it, but I would actually like you to have not just read it, but thought
Yeah.
about it
No, I think
yourselves.
that's sensible.
I've tried to be as comprehensive as I can be in looking at the advantages and the disadvantages of each option. One of the options I've got down is for a new contract for a year, but in essence, we've already agreed that we'd go for a 3-year contract. So you need to bear that in mind as well. But whatever we need to, if we have a meeting next week, we need at the end of that meeting to have made a decision that takes us forward to March the 8th.
Errol.
My thoughts were that if we were going for a 3-year contract, could we go for a year to start off to see how it pans out? And then if it works well, to then consider going for a 3-year contract after that.
Keith.
You never call me Keith, ever.
Sorry.
I like what Beryl's saying, Susan. But I think that might discourage the right tenderee from tendering. So could I counter propose or amend to Beryl's proposal that we still go for a 3-year contract, but with an option at year 1 to either conclude or not, if it's not working. I think that would give both parties greater flexibility. And it will be no different, Beryl, in my opinion, to having a 1-year contract or a 3-year contract. It's the best of both. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Peter.
I understand what Stan's saying. I know where Beryl's coming from. I think when you look at the options there, that will become quite clear to you whether to go for a 1 or a 3-year one, because when you look at, none of them are satisfactory. I think that's quite clear. None of them are satisfactory.
Sorry.
But we might have to stick with what we've got, but on an improved basis, and therefore you might want to relook at how that works. So don't get hung up on it now. That's all I'm trying to say.
So can I just, all those in favour of having a meeting next Tuesday? Okay, and what times would be? Have you got a preference, Jane? Would a 6 o'clock start be all right for everyone? Yeah. Okay then. So if we can diarise that for next Tuesday, 6 o'clock, just for Christmas lights. Thank you. Item 5, the office to publish an electronic newsletter in May, September and January each year to include contributions from councillors. Catherine.
This is something we've talked about at full council before, and this is just a means of carrying it forward so the office know exactly what is required of them. It's going to be 3 times a year, and it will be about the business of the council, the things that we've done throughout those subsequent months, and hopefully with some contribution from councillors, particularly if you've got a lead councillor role, writing a little bit about the work that you've done during that time for your role.
Any comments? All those in favour? Item 6, delegation of expenditure to the clerk to be increased to 1,000, and that financial regulations, regulation number 4, to be amended to reflect this. Again, Catherine.
Yeah, we have to regularly review the financial regulations and to make sure that they reflect the needs of the council and the everyday working of the council. Previously, the amount which can be used by the clerk was £500. Nowadays, it's not realistic now because there will be emergency situations which the office staff need to deal with, which could be a higher cost. Obviously, once the decision's been made to use that money, they will come back and we will to the full council to explain the decision. But it's to give the office flexibility to deal with everyday situations in a realistic way.
All those in favour? Item 7, following review, the investment policy needs no amendment at this time.
That is as it is.
Yeah, that is as it is.
Yeah, we've looked at
Do you
it and
need
it
us to
doesn't.
vote on that? Yeah. All those in favour? Okay. Next. Item 8, to consider donation application received from the Wayland Chamber of Commerce. Has everyone had opportunity to look at that? Yes, Peter.
Chair, I have to say I was a bit concerned and that we're being asked for a large sum of money to an organisation. I've got no problem with the organisation nor what they want it for. But when I looked at their balance sheet, it says total cash at bank and in hand, £210,457.51. Well, I'm sorry, if that is accurate, unless I'm misreading it, why are we going to pay £5,000 when they've got nearly £250,000 in the bank? Quite happy to give them a grant, but I'm not happy if that is the case. Now, if it isn't, perhaps someone will explain to me.
I read it as 210, and it seemed a very strange accounts that the 200,000 suddenly just appeared without actually showing either in a bank account or on their assets. Maybe we need to investigate further from the Wayland Commerce as to if their accounts are 210,000. Yeah. There's a 2 on there. Yeah. My thoughts on this as well is, I know they're part of the town and but it is for businesses. And if we are going to go giving donations to businesses as such, then you could ask, any old business would be able to ask for a donation. And this is to employ somebody rather than the booklet, which is what we did the donation for last time. In effect, we would be paying for a staff member. Beryl.
I just feel like our street furniture, Chamber of Trade, could be involved in that. Would they help us with that? You know, I do wonder why we're giving them £5,000 when I saw their accounts.
Well, also the fact that they are, in effect, doing the dynamic changes down the end of the street. Where is this money coming from? Are they sort of saying, I don't know, that they've got money to do that, but they haven't got money to employ someone? It's sort of a vicious circle that they perhaps need to start going up the ladder rung by rung rather than jumping to the top and hoping that everyone else will bail them out. Keith.
Thanks. Bearing in mind, as you say, there are a conglomerate of commercial enterprises, one wonders, couldn't they all sort of chip in if they wanted to employ someone for that sort of money?
Has anyone else got any other comments? Yes, Andrew.
Really, we've only got 20 minutes, so don't ask. Again, sharing the concerns, I feel that it would be appropriate for them to elaborate on why, with such holdings, they need a grant from us. But it does seem perverse that at the moment they've got more money than we have, and yet they're asking us for money. So I'm not saying that we should say no. I'm saying that we should, as you suggest, Madam Chair, we should have it looked into so that we can be sure as to what their current balance really is and whether it's appropriate for us to donate.
So on that then, Catherine?
We've just been looking at the accounts again, and it is possible that it's an error. It's a rogue too, but then they're responsible for the information that they give us. So I do think we need to go back and ask questions about the finances. And I do think there are questions about what we use the town's money for. When we supported them for the doing the booklets, that had a specific purpose that actually supported the people of the town, because it gave information, useful information about emergencies and that sort of thing. So there was a specific purpose. I'm not even sure within our donations policy whether giving a charity money just for the employment of somebody is within the regulations. I'm not actually sure of that.
Can I ask them that perhaps, Jane, you could write to them asking them if, in effect, their accounts are correct and look into whether we are able to do a donation for employing a staff member.
Well, if everything is okay, do you want this brought back to the next meeting?
Yes.
When you look at it, what they said the role of the person would be to collate and keep current the 12 community pages. Well, okay, that's got to do with us. Yeah. And maintain a database of 500 local businesses for shared use with the town council. So you could say it's got something to do with us, but I think it's a bit, I'm not really sure what we will be saying the community will be getting out of it. But if they haven't got the figures right, they shouldn't have put the figures into us like that.
Right. So that item 9, to accept notes from events meeting held on the 8th of February 2022. Has everyone seen the notes of the events? Everyone happy with those? Those in favour? Point 9.1, to formally agree to plan for bike event on the 1st of May 2022. Have you all read the events for the bike, which is to do with Mr. Woodjack next door? And the closing, yeah, all sat at the back. I think it probably would be helpful if you spoke. Yes, please.
think we'd be pleased with some promotion from you as you did before. That's me speaking, but again, it's up to everybody how we're doing it. But I think the thoughts were that promotion from your side would be helpful.
Stan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Harvey, through the chair. Forgive me, as you appreciate, we all have lots of conversations and meetings and things, and I'm speaking off the top of my head, but speaking loosely, I think that one of the things was if we were to be supporting one pub in the town, it would be seen totally differently to us doing an event and working in partnership. And I think that's the route that Sue's gone down.
I mean, I must admit, I'm becoming confused now because I thought we were running the event in partnership with Harvey because we don't have the experience of the clientele that you're going to be working with and that sort of aspect. So, no, but you don't mean, you've done this sort of event before, whereas I'm confused.
Peter.
The minute we've got here in front of us that was agreed by us says the lead councillor will be Tina Adele. And it says town council received notes of the event proposed by Harvey Budget King, and subsequent discussion with the local police who previously attended the event. The police advised if we were going to run again, we would need to close the road, which is fine. Okay. We would also need increased stewarding to manage the movement of bikes. Yep. And if it's a town event, we're responsible for the insurance and everything else. And it said it was agreed, run the event in partnership with Harvey with the closed road. Well, I've got it here. Well, can I suggest, Chair? Look, we all agreed before, we're going to put in for the road closures, because that's part of the event.
Yeah.
And that does the road closure for for your event. So really what we're saying is, the event's going to happen. Right? It's a question now of ensuring that our lead councillor, who ain't here tonight, well, what I suggest is that we ask Tina and we ask Sue to get together to talk to Harvey and see, so that it will operate as a partnership. Now, I think she was trying to be probably diplomatic, so she wasn't going to offend the other pubs in the town.
Yeah.
We've heard from that as well, but it's not particularly positive.
Thank you. So, will you make a note for Tina and Sue? Thank you. For Watton. Right. Item 9.2, to agree to apply for road closures for events on the 1st of May, 18th of June, 3rd of July, 13th of November and the 27th of November. Are you all in favour of? Yeah. Is that down to you or to Sue? I've sorted it, yeah. Remembrance? It's all right.
Don't think we've ever officially had a road closure before, Beryl, so whether that's just something that, again, because it's getting a bigger and more formal event, I don't know, but, you know.
Item 10, to consider replacement of CCTV in the office.
Very quickly, and this is because the screen in Michelle's office has just gone wrong. We don't know, just like that, to be perfectly honest. The system is a good system, but it's quite outdated, I think, already. And to actually replace the screen and to get it so we can actually access it on any other device we might like to look at it on, it's going to cost in the region of £595. That does seem a bit excessive, to be perfectly honest. We've also begun to look at these sort of cameras which the museum are using. I think we could probably do that for something in the region of £200. It depends whether we can get electric sockets where we need them. That might be the most costly part of that. But that's just something, probably don't need to decide anything tonight because we haven't got all the figures for you. But I did think, can we put that back to finance? And whether we just get a monitor downstairs, so Michelle has got the visual screen there again, and then work on it in the next month or so.
Stan.
Thank you. Jane, when you said about to replace the CCTV, I thought you meant everything, the cameras and everything, which is why I pulled face when you said only £500 odd. But if you're talking just about the monitor, I'm of a view that the system is that old that perhaps the council need to look at the whole system and perhaps get a quote from someone like Net Central or a similar organisation to bring it up to a standard that's fit for purpose and does what it says on the tin, i.e. provides the security and safety for our staff and visitors to the premises and looks after the property when we're not here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone have any other comments? Can make a note, perhaps get some quotes for.
Do go ahead and get a few more quotes and then perhaps go to finance and then bring it back here or something like that. Yeah. But get a monitor to see if that just fixes the situation down below at the moment.
Yeah, that's within your budget now, Jane. Item 11, to agree replacement of ladder in clock tower. That was in the pact. Any questions on that? Stan?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Councillor, I appreciate that we're starting to get towards the end of time, and I'll be as briefly as I can. I've asked to speak on this because 5 years ago we spoke about replacing the ladder in the clock tower for staff safety. When I went and taught the new town operative how to wind the clock, I was horrified that we were back to using the rickety old loft ladder that is extremely dangerous. I reinstated the sturdy aluminium ladder that I provided before that was still there, and although that was more sturdy for us both to use, the town operative understandably felt uncomfortable because the ladder only just came up through the hatch without enough to hold on to. I spoke to a local company in agreement with the clerk to come along and look at the problem to see if they could help us with a solution. And what I found incredibly unhelpful was, that seems all right, that'll do, use the loft ladder. Especially as they're starting work on our roof tomorrow. Having said that, this afternoon when I was up here helping Jane and Michelle set up for tonight's meeting, I had a look at that tower that's over in the corner there that the museum purchased, and it gave me an idea. To cut a long story short, you can have them made bespoke for whatever you need them for. Different heights, different widths. You can have them square, you can have them rectangle. But what I like about that is at one end is you've got a rigid ladder that you can climb up and down. There's loft hatches that you pop through and then you drop those. You'll see there's two there that are lifted up. You just drop them down and walk on them so people aren't going to fall through. So I'd like to suggest to council that perhaps we continue exploring. The important thing you need to know here is that cost £1,400 for that size. Jane's had a quote of £3,500 for a metal ladder. So I'll stop talking now and hand it back to the Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is that something that perhaps should go to finance, next agenda? And yes, Peter.
Well, picking up from what Stan said about the health and safety of our employee, I think we're going to have to move on this reasonably quickly. Don't want to be spending, September, we've suddenly got a series of quotes and we make a decision on it then. And in the meantime, the town office has been climbing up and down some rickety ladders somewhere. So can we put a time limit on it? That we need to, when's the next finance committee meeting?
It's as 10th, is it? 10th of March?
Or can we say that we must have some quotes to the finance committee for the 10th? And if we only get one, we only get one, and we'll have to work our way around that. But I really don't want to leave it much longer.
Are we happy that the town operative is asked to wind the clock moving forward?
Well, the clock will have to stop for a while. I mean, we have a responsibility collectively, and we've been flying by the seat of our pants in previous years because we've had, and this is no reflection on the current town operative, we've had other town operatives who've just got up and done it, regardless of how health and safety regulations or anything. But, let's face it, we're in the 21st century. I would be inclined to say, let the clock stop for the moment until we get the ladder in place and then get it working again. That would be I'll actually propose that.
What we can't let happen is an accident.
No.
And if we had that accident, we'd all be saying we should have stopped.
Don.
The only thing I would say is if we have to get that made bespokely, it will still need to be fitted correctly, which I wouldn't know what that entails. And I'm not pushing for either, but the guys who quoted for the possibly 3,500, that did include the fitting of a ladder. So it's perhaps investigate both, but make the decision on the 10th.
Well, Chair, can I make a proposal that we seek costs for a ladder that will meet the health and safety requirements, and that be brought to the Finance Committee meeting on the 10th of March. And until such time as that ladder is fitted, the town operative should not make any attempt to wind the clock up.
Propose a one-word amendment to that, Peter. Costs and options.
Yeah. All those in favour? Is that a question? Yeah.
Because I've read here about a standard staircase along the back wall. Looking at that, I wouldn't be too happy climbing up that ladder to get into the loft. No way. I would say, if you said to me, well, that's the way up there, I'd say, well, up you go. Yeah, well, don't get, even whichever way.
And every time you go up a level, you should
Yeah.
trap
I don't know, weird. It doesn't look like the sort of way to get into a loft. I think we look at options.
Right, yeah. Right.
What was said off mic between myself and the clerk is that perhaps the town operative be consulted as to her views.
Item 12, to agree to support Swaffham Town Council with requests for TPOs or similar between Watton and Swaffham.
We can put in a request and say we want them to have a look and, evaluate the trees, and as they will do the evaluation and they will look at it as a group of trees, right, rather than individual trees. Yeah.
All those in favour? Yep. Number 13, to agree submission of comments for the Watton Town Delivery Plan. Definitely silence, no hands. Oh, I thought we... Yeah. All those in favour?
Okay, just for clarity, that's as was sent out. You're happy for me to just pass that on? Yeah.
Item 14, to decide whether the Town Council wishes to review local car parking enforcement options. Keith?
Yes, definitely, I would say. It's worked in other towns where they've restricted some car parking. Because I go downtown and up to round the high street, walk round to Tesco's, and I know there are people who are working in the shops that parked as close as they can to the shop. And that is preventing casual people coming in for an hour and a half, do some shopping and that. So the Queen's Hall car park there is supposed to be for long stay. But some people use it and a lot of people don't. So I think it seems to have worked in Attleborough, evidently, where they've restricted it. And a bit what you need, yes, I will support asking Breckland to do a survey of it like they have in other towns.
Any other comments? Peter?
It's a question. How's it enforced? Do you have to get a ticket or something? And then do they send someone round to check?
Now, it can be done on automatic number plate recognition. I don't know whether it is in Attleborough or not, but these are the sort of things we need to be able to look at. I know if you go to Dereham, to the Dencora car park, that's automatic number plate recognition. The technology is there to do it.
Hi, thank you. Sorry for my naivety on this, but are we bound by sort of any restrictions with this, or is it kind of really open to the council on what we can do with the parking in Watton, or is it sort of bound by you have to have this? Or...
No. The memorial.
Chair, and I don't want to get the meeting. It is worth looking at it. If they look at the memorial car park and they did it there, that would stop a lot of people parking when we have Remembrance Sunday and don't move their cars out of the car park when they're supposed to.
Stan?
Thank you. I agree, it is something that should be looked at, and I think it can be far simpler than using ANPR. I'm sure we've all at some stage used these car parks where they've got a machine and it's the first half hour is free or the first hour is free, and then you've got to pay if you're staying longer all day or whatever, and just simply price it that if they want to stay there badly enough, they're going to pay a premium to do so.
I think it's Breckland policy though, isn't it, that their car parks are free?
Yeah, it is free. We don't charge. It's not a meter there which you have to go and pay even if you want to stay an hour. In these car parks, you get a ticket, and as you said, the first hour or so is free, so you don't pay for that. It's still free car parking for shoppers.
Pat? So the proposal then is to contact Breckland and get them to, ask them to do a survey. All those in favour? Thank you. 15, planning. To consult on planning applications received since the last meeting. And there's just the one, 15.1. Yeah, okay. Thank you. 3PL/2021/1710/HOU, proposed rear side extension in Watton, 36 Jubilee Road. Has anyone got any objections? No. Item 16, to pass a resolution to exclude the press and public.